There's been a lot of talk online about the topic of loop engineering, and to confuse matters, everyone seems to have their own definition of exactly what it is. This all started a few weeks ago when the creator of OpenClaw posted on X, "Here's your monthly reminder that you shouldn't be prompting coding agents anymore. You should be designing loops that prompt your agents." Then Boris Cherny, the creator of Claude Code, said, "I don't prompt Claude anymore. I have loops running that prompt Claude. My job is to write loops." So what does this all mean, and how much of it is just hype? Because on one side of the spectrum you have people claiming that this is a game changer and it's changing how they work, and on the other side plenty of developers are rolling their eyes saying that these are just while loops and cron jobs, and that loop engineering is just another push towards token maxing and trying to make AI companies as much money as possible. So let's get into it and see which one is right. Anthropic recently published a good post on this, where the Claude Code team defines loops as agents repeating cycles of work until a stop condition is met. And this stop condition is something we're going to keep coming back to. First off, when you prompt a coding agent, you might think of it as one instruction in, one result or one answer out, but that's not what's actually happening under the hood. The agent is already running multiple loops by itself. It reads the context, calls tools such as editing a file, runs a test, it reads the result of that, and then it loops around again and again. And it keeps going around in that cycle until it decides on its own that the task is done and it stops. Each agent has its own internal loop, and coding harnesses can layer additional loops on top of that. So for our purposes, what exactly is loop engineering? Well, it's effectively the outer loop. It's any additional loop or loops wrapped around the outside of the whole process. One that decides when the job is finished, or sets it going again. And the lines here can get quite blurred as the creator of the coding agents include more looping features directly out of the box, and we'll talk about that later. The Claude team has laid out loop engineering in 4 different levels. First off, we have turn-based loops, and this is using those built-in features of practically any coding agent. You have your prompt, the agent runs its inner loops, and it judges for itself when it's finished. At this level, you've handed off the check, the is it done decision. You've got your prompt, it gathers context, takes action, verifies the work, keeps going around in that loop as necessary, and then returns with a response. The stop criteria here is where the main Claude agent judges it has completed the task or needs additional context. Level 2 is goal-based, and this is where things get interesting. The goal command in Claude Code is a pretty simple implementation of a goal-based loop. Here you type /goal, give it some success criteria, and then a separate evaluator model rechecks that that criteria has been met on every turn of the main agent, and then sends it back until it's actually been met. At the end of the process, ideally the goal has been met or the max turn limit has been reached. There are many different implementations of this type of goal-based loop, and the goal feature in Claude Code is essentially a type of Ralph Wiggum loop, although with not as much control and not as efficient as one that clears the context every time. So the goal feature in Claude Code is very useful and easy to use, but it does have certain limitations. Level 3 is time-based, such as using /loop or /schedule within Claude Code. Now the agent will be prompted at a specific time. /loop runs on your own computer, or you can move to the cloud by creating a routine with /schedule. A simple example, /loop, 5 minutes, check my PR, address review comments, and fix failing CI. You might be looking at this saying, wait, schedule loops are basically just cron jobs. And yes, you will be very much correct. And finally, level 4 is proactive loops, which stitches the others together. A schedule might fire it, or an event via a webhook, a goal to stop it, a workflow to do the work. And these could potentially run categories of jobs on their own, triaging bugs, running migrations, etc. And within Claude's example here, they have a schedule, they have a goal, they have their very powerful dynamic workflows, and they suggest using auto mode so that the routine runs without stopping to ask for permission. And because we're using built-in features of Claude here, you don't need to build any elaborate external harnesses. You have /schedule, /goal, and then ask it to use a workflow to explore solutions in parallel Worktrees. So there really is a lot going on here, all using the built-in features of Claude Code. So is loop engineering really a new concept? Well, the most cynical take on this is that loops have been a key part of computer programs for nearly 80 years. In fact, the world's very first computer programmer published an algorithm which included the concept of loops in 1843. So she was pretty far ahead of these guys. So a more specific question, are agentic loops a new concept? Well, it depends on how you define it. The idea of a React loop, as we know it within AI architectures, was published in 2022. This is the thought, action, observation loop that is now the standard design pattern for AI agents. But really, when people are talking about loop engineering now, it's much more of a broad umbrella term about repeating cycles of work for your agents. It's a bit of a mindset shift to make agents work more autonomously on a schedule or towards a goal. And for the most part, yes, it's basically just loops and cron jobs. But when you dig into it, there are a lot of considerations, and there's a big difference between a well-designed loop for your agent and a badly designed one. So while I've been eye-rolling a little bit about the loop engineering topic as a whole, I think it is an interesting one once you look at it through the right lens. There's huge demand for AI to run autonomously and produce real results without us having to continuously prompt them. And the one interesting question is, how do you design an effective loop for your coding agent? Pretty much everything is riding on this level 2 moment here, the moment a machine decides when the work is finished. Because remember, the Claude Code team defined loops as agents repeating cycles of work until a stop condition is met. So it all stands or falls on the question of how effective our system is at really knowing when work has been completed, knowing when that stop condition has been met. And that's where the real engineering kicks in. Let's start off simply by examining how these goal-based loops actually work. In this simple example, /goal, get the homepage lighthouse score to 90 or above, stop after 5 tries. So let's say that you're running a website and you want to optimize its speed. Claude Code will continually update the code on the page and then retest the score until it reaches the desired result. So here we have the main agent doing the actual work, and then sitting just behind it, there's a second, much smaller model. Under the hood, that's really all /goal actually is within Claude Code. A little hook that fires every time the agent tries to stop, and then runs your success condition past that small model. Its one job is to decide over and over whether you've actually hit the goal yet. So this evaluator model will decide whether it needs to provide feedback to the main agent that will keep going around in a loop as necessary, and then eventually it stops. So that little gatekeeper is deliberately tiny, a small fast model running after every single turn. And it actually can't go and do anything itself. It can't run your tests, it can't open your files, and it can't reload the page to check the real score. It can only actually read the transcript, the conversation history. But if the main agent actually runs tests, the results still land there in the transcript, so the evaluator can still read and examine those. But this evaluator model can only ever trust what's in the transcript. It can't check whether it's still true. What if the agent never actually ran the tests and just said it did? What if it ran a handful, not all of them? Or if it just ran 5 turns ago and then broke the build? So regardless of those limitations, it's very, very useful to have a separate agent grading the work in some shape or form, because the main agent is likely to just declare success early if you just leave it up to that agent. If you're working on casual or relatively simple or contained projects, and particularly if you're a solo developer, these features might be enough for your use case, especially because what you get out of the box with coding agents like Claude Code and Codex can be incredibly effective. So you don't necessarily need to go engineering more convoluted external loops in order to get the job done. But software projects will often require much more effective feedback loops than you get out of the box with these coding agents. And they're often very project dependent and use case specific. And this can get quite important in enterprise, or for projects that are already deployed with large code bases, or projects where multiple developers are working together. So a loop is only ever as good as the thing that decides when it's done. But for coding agents, there are many different types of feedback that we can feed into the loop. And you can build additional feedback into the process, such as using hooks within your coding agent to keep things on track. In a previous video, I covered this article on harness engineering for coding users. And in it, it distinguishes between the inner harness, which is the coding agent features you get out of the box, as well as your outer harness, the user harness. And these are feed forward and feedback controls that you can put in place as a user of the coding agent. And the author of that article defined 2 broad types of feedback mechanisms that we can pass back into the main agent and therefore improve the quality of the development feedback loop. That is computational checks and inferential checks. Computational checks are deterministic and fast. They're run by the CPU. So we have things like test suites, linters, type checkers, and structural analysis. These are run in milliseconds to seconds. Results are highly reliable. And importantly, when you have these checks up and running, they can be run automatically using hooks. So you're not relying on your coding agent to just run the tests through prompting. A hook is a shell command that runs at a specific stage and your coding agent can use these, such as a stop command when Claude Code thinks it's finished. And these checks can run continuously as the agent is working. So these are cheap, fast, reliable, computational checks that you can run throughout the process without having to spend any money on AI tokens. For serious projects, especially in enterprise and ones with lots of developers involved, computational checks are incredibly useful and are very underused across the board amongst users of AI coding agents. And then we have inferential checks, semantic analysis, AI code review, LLM as a judge, and this can perform all the additional checks that can't be done computationally. These checks are far more expensive and slower as they use AI tokens. You can fit these into the lifecycle where it suits, and you could have multiple different types of AI checks before the AI model commits code. You could have lightweight review subagents. Before merging, you could trigger a heavier review process where you can fan out many subagents to look at the whole change in context. And then even later in the process, you could have an LLM judge running in the loop on a schedule against your live system to ensure things are running correctly. So this can get pretty deep, but in reality, the richer the feedback, the more effective your agentic loops will actually be. And the potential richness of feedback we can give our coding agents is one of the main reasons why AI agents are so effective at writing code, but how they can often fail in so many other spaces where it's a lot more difficult to judge and validate the work. So very importantly, autonomous loops will only really work when the AI model can get real feedback to self-correct. Otherwise, things can go really off track. When you start running parallel agents against your code base, you really need to keep them apart. Claude Code does this using Git Worktrees. Every parallel agent gets its own copy of the code, so 10 of them editing at once never thread on each other. They are a great option, but keep in mind that Worktrees can really overcomplicate matters. It's also very important to make sure that your loops do not just run forever, so you generally should have a max iterations count to just stop it at a certain point. With Claude Code's goal command, you have a soft cap. You can just ask it to stop after 5 tries, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. It generally works well, but it's not quite as deterministic as a loop script, such as a Ralph Wiggum script, which is just a simple loop in code which would deterministically stop after a certain number of attempts. And your token bill is definitely worth thinking about here, because the cost is the part that often is getting glossed over at the moment. Agentic loops can be incredibly expensive, and you really do need to keep your usage in check. Any kind of workflow that's spinning up large amounts of subagents can work through a huge amount of tokens quickly. We're talking potentially millions of tokens. Anyone who's run Claude Code's great dynamic workflows feature will probably know what I mean. It's not unusual for it to churn through millions of tokens just to reach a single end goal. A key thing to keep in mind that concepts like loop engineering and token maxing are usually pushed by those that have a pretty big incentive to do so, because they're the ones profiting from it. The more tokens you burn, the better it tends to be for them. So I'd definitely take some of the louder claims with a pinch of salt and keep a close eye on what these loops are actually costing you. When you're building agentic loops, you're often building additional scaffolding around your main coding agent. But as the coding agents get better, you need to delete unnecessary and redundant parts of those scaffolds. So perhaps you've been using a specific outer coding harness for the last few months, whereas now the out-of-the-box functionality within the coding agents might just be good enough for your particular tasks, and that older scaffolding might become dead weight. This applies to outer harnesses that might be running loops, but it also applies to maybe older meta prompting frameworks that are no longer required. There's a lot of sentiment online that we should just be leaving autonomous loops run wild. In reality, human in the loop is absolutely vital at correct stages of the process to make sure we're steering them in the correct direction. So back to this article again, even though there's potentially quite a lot going on in terms of guides and sensors and feedback mechanisms, there's a human steering the overall process, steering the feedback elements of the harness, and also reviewing and signing off on the results as necessary. So where do we land on the concept of loop engineering? Overall, I think this has been quite overblown. Loops are not new. The React pattern for AI agents is also not new. A lot of what's been sold as loop engineering is very much just while loops and cron jobs. So if you've been rolling your eyes at the hype, I do certainly understand that. I think there are some useful things to think about once you really dig into what matters in this whole process, which is the checker. Then really the most important element is understanding the stop condition, understanding the checker, the evaluator, and making sure that you provide all of the right feedback as necessary to that evaluator so it actually knows when the work has been completed. Otherwise, you just have an agent that's just drifting in the wrong direction. A loop is only ever as good as the thing that decides when it's finished. If you get the checker right, the real feedback, the proper computational and inferential checks, a human watching the things that actually matter, then you can potentially set it running and walk away. If you get it wrong, then you potentially just have loops that are burning through your token budgets. If you want to learn how to build expert level AI systems from the ground up, then make sure to check out the AI Architects course within our community, the AI Automators, where there's over 50 lessons covering everything from agentic retrieval to harness engineering. You'll get access to starter apps, lots of other resources, and a global network of AI builders. Thanks for watching.